Hello everybody, my name is Steve and this is my second video for my YouTube channel on the subject of international dating or global dating. This will be my second video of many more to come. Although this is going to be my primary video, probably my longest video that I'm going to do. And the subject of this video is foreign women versus American women. I don't really think of it as bashing American women per se. I try to stay away from that. Negativity is not good, and I'm not about being negative, but I am about being factual and educating people on the subject to know a little bit more about the differences, because I've traveled a lot. I've been to the Philippines 8 times in 12 years. Obviously, it's a little bit of an addiction there. And I've been to Medellin, Colombia a couple years ago, and Peru 4 times. And so I've got a fair amount of experience. I lived 3 months in the Philippines, so it's quite a long time, and really got to get immersed in the culture. So in the purpose of these videos, I want American men or Western men to know the differences. So if you're having a hard time in America not finding what you're looking for, or maybe you're just not happy with the options here, then going abroad is amazing, is just a fantastic answer, because I mean, I don't want to talk too long on this particular part of my video, but let me put it this way. I'm a fairly decent looking guy. I'm height, weight, proportionate. People say, that I'm decent looking, blah, 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 the whole 9 yards, but I've only had 3 dates in 3 years. So I'm averaging maybe 1 date a year, and I'm a little picky, but I'm not that picky. I do restrict part of it is because I restrict who I date to be below 37. I'm 47, so it's not real easy, whether just going out and about or online dating, to find women that are in their early to mid 30s that want to date somebody my age, especially with online dating. I mean, you can just look at the women's preferences. They max out at 3 to 5 years older than themselves. So I've sent like 100 messages to women, like at the main dating sites like Match.com, and I get no responses. The only messages I get are women in their mid 40s to mid 50s range. That's all I get, and overweight women. If I ever gotten a message from a woman that's under 37, height, weight, proportionate, decent, average looking at least, no, I haven't. So I know there's a lot of guys, and my friends experience the same thing when they tried online dating. I mean, every guy, just read the forums of dating sites. There are thousands of men complaining about no luck on online dating. So, some people don't believe in online dating, and that's fine too. But anyways, I know I'm not the only one who's had difficulties finding what I'm looking for here in the States, and I'm a little picky with those parameters of height, weight, proportionate, and with an age range I'm looking for. But I'm not so picky that that I should only have 3 dates in 3 years. So anyway, so that's the. So I know there's a lot of guys having a hard time of it, and a lot of guys have been through divorces and just had really bad experiences here in the States. So it's a whole different world abroad. So what I want to do in this video, again, like I said, is talk about the main differences between foreign and American women, so you'll understand the options that are available to you. And before I start that, I do want to debunk the myth that keeps men or prevents men from seriously considering dating abroad or marrying foreign women. And that the biggest lie that's out there is that these women are only after you because they think you're rich or you have more money and they want a green card. If you talk to any guys who's lived abroad or traveled much, I think they'll tell you for the most part that's not necessarily true. Actually, it's true very small amount of the time. I mean, most women I've met, actually, honestly, that I've talked to, that even women that are already married that have no interest in me, so I get a non-biased opinion from, they've told me that they have no desire to come to the United States. Americans, they see the boob tube and they see all these reports of Chinese immigrants coming in on the boat, or Latinos crossing the Rio Grande or dying in the desert trying to get here, human smuggling. I mean, but that's what is that, 1 or 2% of the whole population that wants to come here? I mean, you could have out of 100 Latinos, you might have one or two that want to come to the United States. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4. It's not. It's just what you see on TV. You can't paintbrush that that's the entire population. So what I'm saying is that it's just not as true as you think. So the women don't like you because they want to come to America. A lot of them don't want to. Okay, especially if they're middle class or upper class. They have absolutely no interest of leaving their family, their friends, their home. It's not true. So don't let that keep you from looking into this for dating or maybe finding a wife for yourself, because it's not true that you're just going to get used or something. It's a lot of fear mongering, and I think the feminists help spread that idea. But actually, if you look at the statistics, the statistics for United States Immigration Services. And if anybody wants the proof of it, I can send you the link if you want me to. But the divorce rate between American men and foreign women, okay, is only 20%. That's men who meet foreign women and bring them to the U.S. and marry them. The divorce rate is much lower than the local domestic American divorce rate. It's only 20% versus 40, 50, 55% in America. Okay, so their marriage is actually a lot more successful. So the stats, the facts back up that notion, because these women could divorce you or leave you if they wanted to, right, after you got here, but they don't. Even after they learn English real well, and of course, many girls, like Filipinas, they already know English. They don't need to learn it. They already know Western ways. They could easily divorce you, get alimony, get child support. They could easily leave you in with the laws in the United States that are very protective of women. They can get part of your paycheck and go do their own work. I mean, they could so easily do that, but they don't. Like I said, the statistics show only a 20% divorce rate after a 10-year follow-up. So there's no truth to that. And, in the money issue, I would say that American women actually care more about your job title, your money, what kind of lifestyle you can provide, more than foreign women do. Foreign women, just and based on my experience, and I've read a lot of people that have traveled abroad, are really care more about a man, how he treats her, that he doesn't cheat on her. Fidelity is one of the most important things to women overall, even women in general. So foreign women see American men as faithful, good husbands, family men. We have a reputation, and so that's why they like you. That's one of the reasons, not because, oh, he's rich, this American gringo is going to get me a bigger house, a bigger car, new clothes, we can go out to dinner and go on vacation. They don't care about this stuff. That's not why they're going after you. So I just kind of got off track here by that. So I just want to dispel that myth. There's a lot of other reasons. Shortage of men in most of these countries leaves women without any choices. American men tend to be taller than the local, like Latinos or especially Asians. And height is one of the world over one of the things that women do and no matter what culture they're from, they tend to be attracted to a man's height. So you just look at the American man's reputation. They're taller, and of course, I guess the white skin thing does have an appeal, just factually speaking. But African Americans and Latino American men can do very well too, for being American, So that's enough on that. I just wanted to touch on that since it's so important for guys to not be misled by that kind of false beliefs and propaganda. So start off. I guess in no particular order, we'll start with the weight issue. We all know the weight problem. That America is the fattest country in the world, so men and women are overweight. And so if you're an American guy and you're living in America, first of all, you're fighting the fact that in the 20 to 42 age range, that there's 20% more men than women. There's a shortage of women, and then when you add to that shortage situation the fact that not only do you have a smaller pool of women compared to men, most of the women in that pool are overweight. Most men, whether they're fat or not, I mean, just men in general, are going to be attracted to a thinner woman. And it's not like fat men pair off with fat women. I mean, there are a lot of buff, semi-buff fat guys or just fat guys who end up with thin women because we're visual. And scientific studies show it. We're visual. Men are visual by nature, whereas women, are more accepting of weight, or they're just not as focused on physical features. So really, if you're a thin man, you don't just have competition from other thin, good-looking men. You have competition from your fat cohorts, so to speak. So it's really tough, So anyway, so I guess what I'm saying, the weight issue makes it hard. If you're like me, I think that's one of the main reasons why I've been single. I've always wanted to get married, or and have kids, family stuff. I'm 47, and I'm still not. And personally, I believe it's the obesity issue. There's just too much competition for the few availability of thin women in the U.S., and especially with my age now. American women are very age sensitive. Foreign women, they accept ages 10, 15, 20 years older. Philippines, they'll go up to 30 years older. I mean, I'm 47. I've got 18, 19-year-olds. I've got 16 and 17-year-olds lying. I've caught a few lying about their age that I chatted up in the Philippines just for, curiosity, because I could see how young they look. But the point is, I've got women that are so young chasing me. I mean, in America, I will never even have a girl younger than 30 or 27 that would be interested in me at 47 years old. Philippines, oh my God, the age is irrelevant is what I'm saying. So if you're a guy and you're older and you want to have a family and kids, or if you're just an older guy that likes younger women, a lot of guys, hey, youth attracts, older guys, it's a pretty well-known notion that we go after younger women. And you can get that in the Philippines. So in Latin America and Russia, Eastern Europe, similar too. So that's one difference. Okay, for women in most of these other third world countries are thin. It's the Western countries, Canada, America, Australia, England, Taiwan. Just Western countries seem to have this obesity problem. So that's one difference. And the other difference is femininity. I think, unfortunately, the feminist movement that's happened over the last 20, 30 years has masculinized American women in general. Not in all cases. I know some Christian women, some small-town country women, American women from small towns, and really true Christian women, like especially the Mormons, I think, the women are very feminine. They go by the Bible, and the Bible is against feminism. If you look at the spirit of Jezebel, if any of you Christians out there know about that the spirit of Jezebel matches perfectly with the characteristics of feminism. Okay, and so Christian women tend to be very feminine, just like foreign women are, as are small-town American women. But they're the exception. I would say small-town country women and Christian women maybe make up, I don't know, if I had to guess, 15% of the overall female population. I'm in Dallas here. I live amongst city women. I don't come across small-town country or real, what I call true Christian women very often. Very small portion of my dating pool. So anyways, so they're more feminine, and they're just, American women can be, as a general trend, not in all cases, as a generality, are just far more aggressive. They'll get in your face or flip you off. Just go out to any single scene nightclub, bar. Although I know you're not going to find the best people at a nightclub or a bar, but that's no excuse for women to behave so masculine or aggressive, going out. They're just not very soft-spoken, I think you guys kind of have an idea what I'm talking about. You've seen maybe some of you guys have seen the Latin American girls. There's been a lot of immigration of South America, and you see how they are. They're more female, feminine-like. They dress more feminine. Unfortunately, there's, I think, again, just not trying to be negative, but I really want to talk truth here. American women dress very, Americans in general dress kind of sloppily compared to a lot of countries, like in Russia, especially Eastern Europe. But I think there's what I'd call a lot of man clothes going on with, again, not all women here, but as a general trend, they just don't dress very girly, feminine-like. A Latina woman won't be caught dead without dressing hot. You've seen how Latin women dress. You American women know how Latin women dress. They're always dressed hot, high heels, tight clothes. It's very sexy. And so that's that. I don't want to go too much on that. And then the divorce rate, I think I mentioned, divorce rate in America, 40-50%. Women initiate divorce 70% of the time. You can Google it. That's a fact. The reasons that American women typically give, and I've looked at the studies of why they've divorced. I've outgrown my husband. I'm tired of being married. What else? I want more excitement or independence. They're all reasons that have really little to do with honoring the marriage covenant. Americans in general, but I think especially American women, just really don't have any respect for the marriage covenant. If they did, why is our divorce rate 40-50%? And combine that with the fact that it's 70% of the time it's the women who are doing the divorcing. And the reasons are not because their husband beat them, not because he's a drunk, or not because he's cheated on her or done anything bad. Most of the time, and if you Google, I can show you the studies if you're interested. I've got the links that show the studies done by big universities, University of Pennsylvania, Harvard, or universities like that, where they found that the reasons that American women gave were just frivolous. They weren't really valid reasons to divorce somebody. And it's really unfortunate that I think that the feminist movement has destroyed the family unit, basically, because now women are very emotionally independent. So that's, again, going back to the subject of this video, American women have become very emotionally independent, not just financially independent. I mean, there's women in Latin America and Philippines that work too and can make money, not a lot, but enough to get by and do what they got to support themselves and stuff. But they're not. The difference is that they're not emotionally independent. And really, I think feminism was a great thing when it started. I'm all for women, equal rights, equal pay. Totally. Those were the good things, like what feminism started out as. But there's been a darker side, like I said, mentioned the Jezebel Spirit. If you like the Bible talks about that's taken over. It said the evil or dark side of feminism is totally destroyed the family unit in America, and it's kind of like America's kind of like Rome. Once those family values of society go downhill and marriage doesn't mean anything, divorce, easy come, easy go, well, it's a degradation of society. It just doesn't protrude well for America. So anyway, so that's that. Foreign women believe in staying married. They'll do anything they can to stay married. They'll work on their marriage. They totally, like I said, the divorce rate, statistics show the divorce rate's only 20% between American men and foreign women. So that speaks volumes. And that's the United States Immigration Services link. And I can send that to anybody who's curious. So, okay, so we covered the divorce rate. And in foreign countries, foreign women are more approachable. I guess, Happier Abroad is a website that I've contributed some material to, and Winston is the owner of that site, and he puts it pretty well. I'm going to be using a lot of his quotes on the topics I cover. He says, in most foreign countries, women are more open, approachable, friendly, and easier to meet. It's sad but true, but having more money tends to make women less social and friendly. The more money women have, the more likely they are to limit their social interaction to within close cliques, and the less likely they are to talk to strangers. They also become less friendly and more picky. That's just the way it is, and it definitely makes dating in first world countries harder and more competitive for guys. You do not need any artificial game or pickup artist techniques to meet or date foreign women. All you have to do is be yourself, and as long as you are sincere, decent, down-to-earth, kind, and charming, that's what foreign women want, which is true. I found that to be very true. When I go abroad, and I'm pretty shy, I don't really approach women that easily. But abroad, women will approach you. I mean, they'll initiate flirtation, eye contact. That's another thing. Studies show that American women were the second least flirtatious in the world. I have that study available if anybody wants to see that. There's actually a YouTube video related to that study too. See, like in America, like I feel invisible. And I'm a decent-looking guy. I'm not fat. Girls tell me, "Gosh, Steve, how can you have problems dating? You got a lot of things going for you." Well, I have. I average one date a year if I'm lucky, but when I go abroad, it's, oh my God. I mean, guys, go abroad. You'll have 10 dates a week if you want. And this is from height, weight, proportionate, beautiful women, and not just poor, desperate women. I've met girls, that are just teachers, nursing professors. Like I met a nurse in the Philippines that teaches other nurses. She lectures around the Philippines on topics for other nurses. I mean, she's really high up, and she was middle upper class, and she was all into me. I mean, I can meet middle class, even some upper class girls is not a problem. So it's not like just poor girls that are interested in me, not at all. And you often meet attorneys, girls that are technically graduated as an from a law school. Okay, now some of them may not be practicing the law, but I've seen their degrees, and I've met. It's weird. I don't know what it is about South America. I meet a lot of women with very advanced technical degrees, and anyway, so that's a whole other thing. I just wanted to clarify these are not just desperate women I'm talking about. So anyways, yeah, when I go abroad, women stare at me. They make eye contact. I heard in Costa Rica that it's normal in their culture for women to show interest. They'll go up to a guy and ask him to dance or start to, I mean, they make it very obvious when they're interested in you, but American women will never do that. American women, they're just kind of, it's just so easy to feel invisible to them. They don't really show much when they're interested in you, at least not compared to the way foreign women do. So that's why it's easier for you guys. If you're shy like me and you just don't boldly go up to women, hey, I'm Steve, you're not a smooth talker, you don't have the pickup artist thing. See, that's why, by the way, that's why there's a pickup artist movement in America and Western countries. It exists because there's a demand for it, because women are so hard and difficult to meet in America. In other countries like Asia and Russia and Latin America, where it's easy to meet women, there is no pickup artist movement. Men don't need help to meet women because women are so easy to meet, And the only pickup artist movement I've seen outside America or outside of Western countries, because England has it too, and Australia has the movement, but in Russia, there is a pickup artist movement for women because there's such a severe shortage of men. I think in some places in Russia there's there's 3 women for every 1 man. So even Russia considered passing laws to allow for polygamy, so more women could have a chance at having kids. And so I don't want to get off track here, but there's only a pickup artist exists where the industry exists where there's a demand for it, and in America there's a high demand for it. And then Winston on his site does mention another factor. The foreign women generally treat men better and appreciate them. He says they admire and respect men and do not carry an attitude of disdain and contempt for them, nor harbor men as creeps attitude, unlike American women who deem every man as a creep unless he proves otherwise. So that's true. If you look at American women dating profiles, you will often see them refer to men as creeps, predatory, or as fools. Fools. Look at the movie Three Grown Men. Look at Tim Allen, Home Improvement, 3.5 Men. American culture really bashes men as fools a lot, but you don't see movies or any subject like this in other non-Western countries. So, and then the predatory creep factor. If you look at American women profiles, you see the not looking for a creep, or tired of creepy men. There's just a lot of derogatory sentiment from American women about American men. But when you look at foreign profiles, like Latina profiles or Filipino profiles or Russian women profiles, I have never one time in my 10, 12 years of being on international dating sites and just reading the dating profiles, I've never seen a foreign girl be negative about men, like talking about men as I'm tired of creeps or I'm tired of bullshitters. And foreign women, not only do they not bash men like that in their profiles with negative attitudes, foreign women never curse. I can't tell you how many times I read American women profiles. Like I said, no time for bullshitters, or I'm not effing around. I've seen this a lot of times. That's not common. I'm not saying that most of the American women profiles say that. Obviously not. But it exists. It exists with a lot of profiles, American women profiles. But when you look at foreign women profiles, I've never seen one time the use of a foul language, foul word. And now I have, just going out in public, and whether it's at restaurants or at the bar or whatever, I've heard American women talk like men, like locker room talk, like truck driver talk, like sailor talk. A lot of F-bombs and S-bombs, and Oh my gosh, or his ass this and fuck him and. Yeah, but when you go to the Philippines or South America, the women are just so classy. You never hear that kind of talk. I've never heard it, and they're not known for that. But it's very common in America. So that's another difference. And then let's see. Let me see what's next here. Basically, you also really don't have to impress foreign women. You don't have to. Well, I guess I already mentioned that. You don't have to game them to get them interested in you. Foreign women just accept you for who you are. I mean, like for example, if you're a guy that has certain weaknesses, like myself, I've had problems before with depression or something or anxiety. And I mean, most Americans have at some point in their life. And you can mention that even in your dating profile on an international dating site, and they don't care. You're still going to get flooded with messages. Whereas if you put such things in your profile in America, women will avoid you like the plague. I've experimented with that a little bit. And so it's you really, foreign women will really accept your weaknesses and all. You don't have to be perfect man up front. Whereas American women, especially internet dating, you can't reveal any weaknesses at all. Okay, or else it's going to be a big problem. So that's another big difference of foreign women versus American women. They're just more accepting of you. And then let me see what's next here. The other difference is the family values. I guess I covered that. They don't believe in divorce. They really work hard to save their marriages. Foreign women do, compared to here. I guess the best way, Winston put it great. He said they are raised with good family values. They tend to have healthier relationships with their families, not the hate and disdain for their fathers that is so common with American women. What this means is that they will also have better value towards their own family as well, which makes them better marriage material. So if you're looking to raise a family, such foreign women will make better wives. Another thing to keep in mind is that foreign women tend to view their husband and them as one unit, whereas American women tend to view their husband and themselves as two separate individuals with their own needs and interests. This means you can trust foreign women more, for they have a stronger sense of commitment and loyalty, whereas American women will toss their partner away like used clothes as soon as they get tired of them. And it's going to sound negative to a lot of folks, but I think that's very true. Foreign women are just so committed to their relationships. Unless you're talking about small town country American women or real Christian American women, then that's different. And then I mentioned the age difference tolerances. Let's see, and the flirtation that foreign women will show when they're interested in you, and they really do. So if you're a shy guy, go abroad because they will hunt you down. I just promise you that. Whereas in America, you're always invisible, And then one thing that Winston mentions, I think I've already kind of mentioned about the money issue. Like I said, I truly believe it's funny that people will say, oh, those foreign women are just after you for your money. I think it's worse with American women, to be honest with you. Foreign women will accept you as long as you can provide food and shelter, the basics in life. Foreign girls don't really care your job title or how much you have. I'm talking in generalities here. There's always exceptions, right? So here's something that really makes sense to me that Winston said on the site. He said, in a public lecture recorded on a video called The Happiness Prescription, the spiritual teacher and bestseller Dr. Deepak Chopra was asked by a woman in the audience why she felt happier in Cuba and Mexico than in America. In response, Dr. Chopra explained to her that in America the focus is on consumerism because America is a consumerist culture. But in Cuba and Mexico, people do not have enough money to live for consumerism, so the focus is on social relationships instead. As a result, people feel happier because they derive their fulfillment from social connection rather than from consumerism. So what I'm saying is that the reason why Americans think that foreign women are just after you for your money is because that's how we think. Americans think, to our culture, consumerism, material things, that's the good life. That's what we work for, and that's what we focus on. Look at all the TV. Look on TV, all the consumerism, like the new car commercials. there's so much fake and artificialness in American culture and promoted through TV and the media that money's everything. And I'm sorry, but it's true. The social psychologists say it's true. Just Google it. There's plenty of evidence that American culture is one of the most, is the most materialistic and consumeristic that there is. And we derive our happiness from material things. And abroad, I can tell you, in the Philippines, South America, that's just the opposite. I found that poor people, okay, in the Philippines especially, were more happy than any of the rich Americans I've ever known. I mean, poor people are laughing, smiling, they'd sing their karaoke, they're always cracking up. These are people living in shacks, okay, in bamboo huts, in the Philippines. They have, all they got is food and their little bamboo hut shelter. I've been all over the Philippines. I've been in the boondocks, okay, and I will tell you that they are happier than the majority of us Americans, even including the rich Americans. And if you look at happiness surveys, there's many happiness surveys that have ranked third world countries ahead of first world countries in happiness. Now, happiness is measured in different ways in different studies, but America is actually ranking not so good in the happiness surveys, like usually coming in at number 16 or 17. And like I said, a lot of third world countries beat the United States in happiness surveys quite often. So that speaks volumes about that. So it's just Americans just think that way, so we assume that those foreign girls are just after us for our money when we go date them. It's because that's how we think. It's not how they think. Okay, and then and then to add to that last paragraph, well, no, I'll just pass on that. Let's move on to something else. Winston goes on to say, let's see. Well, no, we'll skip that part too. It's not as important. I will talk about one thing. If you look at, there's new research that's come out that talks about narcissism in America. Gene Twenge and Dr. Laura Schlesinger. Both Gene Twenge and Laura Schlesinger talk about narcissism and entitlement, and Dr. Gene Twenge and Keith Campbell and the narcissism epidemic, they say that the majority of the rise in narcissism in the United States, which has skyrocketed in the last 20 years, was found in their studies to occur mainly among the American women. Google the narcissism epidemic or Google American women and narcissism. You'll find, and I can send anybody the link that wants to know, that's scientific work right there. Social psychologists talk about that. And Dr. Laura Schlesinger mirrors the findings from the social psychologist. She says, Dr. Laura says, that women in America become very, very entitled and super picky. I've got so many studies that have shown, like Jean Twenge said in her book that American women, she said, claim that they're not looking for Mr. Perfect, but when they do the test of what they're looking for in a man, it turns out that they are looking for Mr. Perfect. And Lori Gottlieb, okay, if you Google Lori Gottlieb, she also talks about that she studied this. She's a New York Times bestseller. And she found that American guys generally will accept a woman who meets 70 to 80% of their wants list, whereas American women will not. American women are looking for Mr. Perfect totally. Like a guy has to meet 90% or above of the list. So, American women have this attitude, I'm not going to settle. They're just super picky. You just can't satisfy them. You can't please most of them. I think that's why, in America, we have the lowest marriage rate ever in the history of our country. Only 51% of the people are married. You can thank feminism for that, because it's not just economic independence that caused that. It's emotional, primarily emotional independence that feminism has instilled in women. And women have a disdain, almost an anger. Dr. Laura Schlesinger talks about this too. It's in one of the major chapters in her book, that women look at men as fools. They have a disdain and negative look upon a negative view upon men. It's a very unhealthy dynamic. So American women and men just aren't connecting because of feminism. Women have changed, not men. Okay, And so the narcissism, there's a narcissism epidemic. And when you go abroad, you don't encounter that. The women are so humble abroad. I mean, you can approach a super hot model quality Filipina or Latin hot Colombian or Brazilian girl, and even if she's middle or upper class, she won't be offended that you approach her. Like an American woman would be like, "Oh, who are you talking to me? Get out of here," you know, or they'll almost call the cops on you sometimes, you know. But a foreign woman will just be humble, and she appreciates that you have interest in her, even if she's married or has a boyfriend and is not available. She'll just be polite and appreciative. Oh, thank you for your interest. And you know, American women will look at it negative, like, oh, he's hitting on me. How dare him hit on me? You know, whereas a foreign girl could be super hot and she'll be appreciative. It's amazing the difference. Like for me, I never fear approaching a foreign woman in Latin America or the Philippines, because my experience with them has shown me that they never bite back. They don't offend you. I've had American women just so disgustingly rude. I mean, you say something, not throw them a compliment, just a little hint that, yeah, I find you attractive and you look great tonight, or I like what you're wearing, or whatever. I've had American women look at me and even laughed. And I've seen them do it to other guys. Especially when you go to the single scene, like bars and clubs, where most people go out in the single scene. You know, I guess you go to Bible study. That's another single scene. But let's talk about the main single scene, which is bars and clubs. I've seen American women laugh at a guy's face just because he's showing interest in her. Like, because they're so stuck up and so narcissistic. It's disgusting. I mean... And it's very ugly. I think the spirit of American women has really deteriorated just from the observation. Now, again, I'm not saying all of them. I'm not even saying 90% of them. But I'm just talking about general patterns here, folks. So let's not get too offended. There are some great American women that are humble. They're just so few that it's tough. Yeah, I've seen just the worst attitudes, just ugly attitudes. American women don't really appreciate. I'd say half of them, or a little more than half, in the single scene, the bars, clubs, they don't like when a guy approaches them, unless he's unless he's Tom Cruise. And if you're a hot guy, GQ quality, then they won't be rude to you. But if a guy that approaches an American woman who, when she's not attracted to him, she finds him unattractive, she'll be the most rudest, ugly person to him. It's just unbelievable. And that's when I really became attracted to international dating, because American women just in the single scene just really, I hate to say this, disgusted me. The way they treat people. Again, not all of them, or maybe not even most of them, but a significant percentage of them can be really ugly. And I just never saw that overseas. Women are humble. So that's the message there. And if you're a shy guy, you will not be shy when you go overseas if you spend enough time, because you learn, wow, these women are so nice. They don't bite. They don't offend you. They don't get mad that you approach them, and you start to gain confidence in that way. Okay, let's see here. What's next here? Now I talked about how there's a pickup artist industry in the U.S. because women are so hard to meet and they're so difficult to, that men have a hard time. I mean, if American women were so easy to approach and so easy to meet, if there wasn't a shortage of women, which there is in the U.S., I can send anybody the link that wants to see that. If that problem didn't exist, then there would be no need for pickup artist movement, right? Does that make sense? So it just tells you how bad it is here compared to other countries. So you never hear of foreign men complaining about not being able to get girlfriends. I talk to Filipino men just waiting in line for the taxi, whatever. They're like, oh, I can get, it's no problem. I can always have dates. I mean, even guys that aren't very attractive, they're like, oh, well, if she doesn't like that I cheated on her, there's always another one to replace her. Another one to replace. I hear that multiple times. But in America, it's not that easy. I think if you have a good-looking girl that's thin, attractive, she may not be so easily replaceable thanks to the obesity epidemic and the shortage of women. in America, so which is a statistical fact. I've done all the research, so if anybody needs those links, let me know. And then Winston does talk about how, he says, how come in Asia you see many average, ugly, or nerdy looking guys with attractive hot girls everywhere you go? Which Winston's right. That is true. If you've traveled abroad, you will see nerdy, dorky looking guys with really hot women. That's how easy the dating scene is over there. He said, but in America, Winston goes on to say, but in America you will not see that. Instead, you see average women with tall, attractive men who are better looking than they are. How do you explain that? So he's right. I mean, I've observed in the United States, wow, I mean, I see guys that are thin, good looking, I mean, just really attractive guys with overweight women, which is fine. Hey, you know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, wow, I mean, like, I think it's I think that proves that the dating scene is very imbalanced, because you have men that are normally attracted to thin women, because men are visual. We generally like thin women, but I think there's such a difficult time in getting attractive women for the average guy in the United States that a lot of these guys, they just get what they can get. They say, hey, I don't have anybody, you know, I'll settle for anybody that looks my way. And you know what? More power to them. I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, I don't really have anything against that, but I think it's proof. I think it's evidence of the difficult dating scene in the U.S. where guys over and over, I've noticed that a lot. Walking the malls and stuff, there's just a lot of that. And I think guys just eventually settle for what they have to get. But realistically, if a guy has a choice between a thin, attractive woman and a not so thin one, 90% of the time he's going to go for the thin one and end up going out with her. But guys don't have those choices so much in America, and they end up, you know, going for what they get, whatever they can go for, you know. And then Winston goes on to say, in most foreign countries, women are taught that they need men to raise a family and be normal. So their women seek fulfillment in men and have to be feminine, sweet, and kind in order to attract men. But in America, Japan, Western countries, women are taught to not need men, but to be independent and empowered from them. Thus, they view men as unnecessary and can afford to be super picky and refuse to settle for nothing but the best, which gives them leeway to become spoiled, difficult, and narcissistic. This is very true. Very, very true. Feminism in America has taught women that they don't need men. Okay, I read dating profiles of American women that clearly say, I don't need a man. I just want someone to compliment me. Well, okay. There's nothing wrong, per se, to say I want somebody to compliment me. But for me, I think needing somebody is better than just wanting somebody. Needing doesn't imply weakness. Needing to admit that you need somebody to be happy, you need somebody in your life, it's normal. Even the Bible says we need somebody. We're not to be alone. The Bible clearly states that. So there's nothing wrong with needing somebody. The Bible says you do need somebody. Okay? So stop thinking that it's a weakness, or that, you know, as if it's better to just want somebody or just to compliment somebody. In relationships, you do need somebody to be with, you know, and be happy and have a family and everything. So I think what I find is that Western women in their profiles, a lot of them blurt that out. They make it very clear that they don't need a man, and they go out of their way to say it. Whereas a foreign woman is just the opposite. A foreign woman goes out of her way to say, oh, I need a man in my life. It's a big difference, and when you date abroad, you really see that, you feel the difference as an American guy dating Latin women or Asian women or Eastern European women. They really show that they have a need for men. So that's true, and American women are very picky too. If you look at dating profiles, American women have a long list of demands. I mean, most of them do, whereas a Filipina or a Latin girl doesn't. I mean, they'll mention 2 or 3 things. I'm looking when a foreign girl lists what she's looking for in a man, it's honorable things, like a man who's good with family, who's good to his children, who's a good son, a man who will love me and hold me. They're honorable things. But when American women list what she's looking for in a man, they're superficial and shallow. They always talk about money and the job, a man who's established in his career. You never, ever hear a foreign woman talk about career, a man who's established, who makes this much money or whatever, a certain job title. But American women use keywords, what I call hidden keywords, that focus on career. That's all they think about. And the research, Gene Twenge and Keith Campbell and the research did say that part of narcissism, which they said American women were mostly responsible for the narcissism in America, what goes hand in hand with narcissism is materialism. They're not separable. And they talked about how Americans in general, including the men, when it comes to materialism, that all we're focused on is making money. That's all. We're not even talking about being spiritual, soulful, having a purposeful, meaningful life, helping others. According to these social psychologists, that the studies they've tracked these studies and these surveys, and making money and having material things in life is number one in Americans' mind. In that case, it's men included too. So really, when you're dealing with dating in America as a man who's interested in women, you're picking up on that garbage, okay? Unless you find the exception. Again, foreign women accept you for who you are. There's no long list of demands. They're very humble. They're just glad and happy and appreciative that you're showing an interest in them. I'll show some in another video. I'll compare the dating profile comparison of foreign and American women. It's so extensive that I can't mix it with this video, so I'll move on. But there's a huge difference in dating profiles. Another thing is that American women, they want to be like men. Everything in their mind, spirit, soul, they're so obsessed with gender equality. And really, even the Bible acknowledges that men and women are not equal in they're equal in rights. I think we know that everybody deserves to be treated well and has certain rights. But I mean, as far as just overall, men and women are not equal. Okay, there's exceptions where some women might be strong enough to be a fireman or to do certain things, whatever. But I guess we have a lot of. I don't think you have to be too strong to be a police officer in this country. But anyways, I'm getting off track here. But basically, there are differences. Dr. Laura Schlesinger and Jean Twenge talk about this subject of how men, like Dr. Laura talks about how women and men are different, and we do have naturally different roles. And we are born with certain tendencies. Like the girls in laboratory studies will play with dolls. The boys will play more aggressively with army toys. I mean, you can't deny the differences. And I think by trying to make gender equal, it's helped destroy the relationship between men and women. Women are so masculinized in general in America. I mean, it's bad enough they're stuck up and narcissistic. At least the ones I'm meeting. I do go to clubs and bars because I don't know where else to go for the most part. Besides Bible study, which Bible studies, it's a whole other thing. I mean, 80% of the women are fat. I've never been to a Bible study class where you've had, even at least 50% of women were thin. I mean, they're always overweight. I don't know why that is. I think the women who are attractive and good looking, they don't need to go to Bible study singles because they're not single. Does that make sense? I think, unfortunately, that's the Bible study. As much as I would love to find a girlfriend from there, not only are they overweight, most of them, reflecting the obesity epidemic, but they're also put you in the age groups. I'm 47, so churches don't want to mix 47-year-olds with 30-something-year-olds. They divide usually 30 to 35, 35 to 40, or 37 to 43. So I've had a problem being able, unless I'm going to lie. And I don't think lying in your church is a good thing. I'm not going to lie and say I'm 30, even though I look like I'm young. I'm not going to lie about my age. So that's a whole other thing. But anyway, so I do go out to where I consider, I don't know, where I can meet singles, and a lot of times that is at bars and clubs. And so, anyways, I don't know where I got off track here. I'm trying to cover too many things at once. But I was talking about the masculinization. Yeah, so I mean, basically, it's just women here generally become so aggressive and masculinized that there's no difference between the gender. Oh, Dr. Jean Twenge in her study found that for the first time ever, their studies now find that in tests that measure masculinity, women in America now score equal to men on masculinity tests. Okay. And I can send that link too for anybody who doubts that. You can Google it. So there is no difference in America between men and women They're both equally masculine. And, you know, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying for guys like me who like feminine, sweet, soft, feminine women, women that are women and not women that are men, you know, going abroad, it's so, I mean, you've seen, most of you guys have seen photos of Asian girls and Latin girls. A lot of people say, oh, Asian girls are just submissive, blah, blah, blah. But okay, well then look at the Latin girls. Look at the hot Russian girls, the Eastern European girls. Man, they're knockouts. You guys know that. You've done enough browsing on the internet to know how good looking these girls blow away girls in America. I mean, the Latinas, oh my God. I mean, they're so hot. And you've seen how they are. Any of you American guys, you've been to Latin clubs or seen Latin girls and how they dress when they dress up. And they usually do dress up. They look very hot, tight clothes, high heels, everything. So they're still women. Is what I'm getting at, okay, in a long about way. And then, you know, I think the other thing is that I think American women are hard to please. Lori Gottlieb, I mentioned earlier, talks about that in her studies. American women are very, very hard to please. They you know, and they'll dump you in a heartbeat when things don't go well. And then, let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see what else we got here. And then, you know, I talked about the shortage of men in these other countries. So it says, and Winston says, in countries such as the Philippines, Russia, and China, there is a surplus of single women who can't find a quality guy. And there's a big shortage of good, decent men who have at least a middle-class income and don't have bad habits like drinking and gambling, cheating. So the numbers are in your favor if you're a decent guy. In such environments, the females have to be sweeter, kinder, prettier to attract the males, which is true. It keeps them feminine because they have to compete in those countries. Whereas American girls, if they're thin, they look decent looking, they don't really have to, they don't have a lot of competition, so they just don't keep up with as much as they would otherwise with their looks and everything. And then, let's see. And the other thing is that Winston's right when he says that the other good thing about foreign women is that because they're less well off, they're not as spoiled, and they're more dependent on others to get by. They have to be kind and nice to other people in life to generally get by and having help in their needs and stuff. And studies have shown this too. So here we go. Winston put it best. He says, finally, of course, women in less developed countries have less money, so they are more humble, modest, and unspoiled. Humble women are easier to get along with than arrogant women, of course. And they are friendlier as well. They do not seek to be independent. Rather, they dream to find a good man and become attached to him. Poor people are also more interdependent. They have to depend on others to survive and get by. They live in a world of people helping people. Since they are more socially connected, since they need others to get by, they aren't independent. They also are more compassionate. In contrast, the richer you get, like in the Western countries, the less social and less kind you become. It's very true. Many social studies have proven this correlation. In contrast, modern USA girls are the furthest thing from humility. They are extremely picky, looking for Mr. Perfect, narcissistic, and entitled. And they act super arrogant and are not humble or down to earth at all. Trying to find humility in America is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Even American movies depict this. Yeah, I think that's very true what he states there. And so that's that, and I'll cover the difference in dating profiles in another video. This video's gone longer than I wanted it to, so I've covered some of the basic differences. So guys, do not make the mistake of buying into the brainwashing or stereotypes, you know, that foreign women are the same as American women, or that they just want your green card or your money. I mean, I'm not selling anything. I'm not doing these videos to sell anything. I don't have a website. I used to, not anymore. So I'm just telling you how it is from my travels abroad, and I encourage anybody who knows any guys who've dated abroad to let me stress, non-Western cultures, not Western cultures, to tell you how good it is, how much easier it is, and how you can so easily find great quality, classy. I mean, there's so many in Latin America and Eastern Europe. There's classy women that are just so educated, intellectual. hot, super hot too, and they feel fortunate if they can just find a decent, nice guy, because the guys in their country aren't so nice, really. Nothing compared to American guys. So we American guys just treat women better, and they know that. So there's options. There's no excuse for any American guy to be single if he doesn't want to be. If he wants to find a wife. And like I said, the studies show that there's only a 20% divorce rate, a very, very extremely low divorce rate when American men marry foreign women. So I just wanted to cover that, and I guess that's pretty much it for my video on the difference between foreign and American women. Thanks for listening if you've listened this far.